The reality of Australia's China boycott. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because I'd like to talk about the reality of the Australia-China boycott. Now if we have a look here we can see Pauline Hanson and many in One Nation are calling for a Christmas boycott of Chinese products. In, well, response to the outrage that seems to be rippling through the community at certain statements concerning Australia from Chinese officials and the ongoing and escalating trade tensions between the two countries. Now, Jason Murphy has written quite a good article that we'll have a look at news.com.au discussing this. But before we go through this, there's a few things I want to look at. The first being a plug for my US channel, HeiseSaysUS. Subscribe today, cha-ching. I'm trying to grow my US channel where I discuss US news and topics. So check it out if you haven't. Now, to what I really wanted to discuss. This is the relationship between China and Australia. It gives us a bit of perspective on just the two countries. We can see here, so China exports to Australia, we're 11th out of 206 countries in the world, $52.7 billion worth of exports. Their top product that China exports to Australia is computers, $3.98 billion. So if we were to implement this boycott, which Hanson is suggesting among others, does that mean you can't buy anyone an iPad or an iPhone or an Android phone or a computer for Christmas? Just we need to realize, I'm hoping calls for this boycott will make people realize how much is actually manufactured over Australia and the technological differences in what we manufacture here and other parts of the world. I know I'm a broken record about economic complexity, but I am a broken record about economic complexity for a reason. So our exports to China. So we export $87.9 billion worth of goods to China, and they're our number one export destination, which we're all aware of. So, I mean, there you go. We've got an advantage. We're importing less from them than we are exporting, at least from these goods. We'll have to see if we factor in real estate and tourism. It might, even out a little bit. So the top product we're exporting to China is iron ore, $38.7 billion. Now, the economic complexity of China, their ECI is 0.81. That's to do with the complexity of the goods that they manufacture and export. Ours is negative 0.093. We're 73rd in the world, and they're significantly more advanced economically than we are with regards to their manufacturing and value-adding processes. Their GDP is $13.6 trillion, and their GDP growth from 2008 to 2018 is 196%. Now, our GDP is pretty much a tenth of China's. At 1.43 trillion, our GDP growth in the same period has only been 36%. Now, their GDP per capita in China is $9,771, and their growth per capita is 182%. Ours, GDP per capita, is $57,374, and these are from 2018, and our GDP growth per capita from 2008 to 18 is only 15.7%. You've got to realize that our GDP growth per capita since the GFC, which is where this is measured from, has been below trend. We're still growing, but it's below trend since they had per capita data, which I looked at was about the 70s. So if we scroll down here, we can see the bilateral trade by products. And you can see here everything we're importing from China. Computers. I mean, when's the last time you've gotten parts that, sure, Taiwan and other countries, but a lot of it comes from China. Broadcasting equipment. The microphone I'm using in front of me right now is a Rhodes microphone. I wanted to buy Australian made. It's all imported from China. They've got a good reputation, a good brand. I mean, I've had this one has failed 3 times and was covered by warranty. I sent it back and they sent me a brand new one. Fantastic. I love it. I mean, the women's clothing. Clothing is a lot of it's imported from China. It's so cheap. Rachel makes a lot of clothing for the kids. It's just cheaper for her to buy it sometimes. So you can see here, look at the complexity of all of these items that we're importing from China. Refined petroleum, unglazed ceramic, leather footwear. Can you buy any shoes if we're boycotting Chinese products for Christmas? I would hazard a guess that our attempts to boycott these products for Christmas won't be successful, but it will heighten the public consciousness about how much we're actually importing from China. Iron ore is our biggest export to China, then coal, then petroleum, and gold is right up there too. You know, the methodology we use in exporting these products is advanced, but a lot of the equipment and machinery is all imported. Some of the maintenance contracts are from overseas companies. So there you go. This is the reason why everyone says we're a quarry with English schools and some tourist traps that serve coffee to each other, with a housing boom chucked in for good measure. So we have a look here. Here's the latest data. And this is exports from China to Australia for December 2017, 4.22 billion. And exports from Australia to China for April this year, 56.3% of it is iron ore. Then coal and the commodities not specified elsewhere is 13.8%, so 1.12 billion. So the data really hasn't changed much. One could argue that the iron ore is still a huge portion of our exports to China. Now, what I'm going to show you next here, and this is interesting, this is market competitiveness. This is showing us all the countries in the world comparing our competitiveness to China. Where China has an advantage over us. Now, which country, there's only one, do you think Australia has a greater competitive relationship compared to China? Which one? I'm going to have a shot of coffee, and you let us know in the comments. And I'll give you a hint. It's close to Australia. Okay, pick one. It's good instant coffee. So, actually, I have to check where that's made. We scroll in here, we can see. So here's Australia and China, and I'm kind of cheating because you can't see. So the country where it's Papua New Guinea. So Papua New Guinea imports only $786 million worth of goods from China, but they import $1.34 billion worth of goods from Australia. So we're winning. We're winning Papua New Guinea, but with regards to our imports going into there. New Zealand, look at that. Imports from China, 7.42 billion. Australia's only 5.74 billion. I thought New Zealand would have been right up there. Look at the US. Imports from China, $499 billion from China. We're only 9.71 billion. We don't rank. We're not the same. The difference in imports is 490 billion China's way. Let's have a look. Russia, there you go. Difference in imports, 44 billion. Japan. Difference in imports, 128 billion, China's way. All of these countries, China's way. The UK, 56.1 billion, China's way. Poland, 24.8 billion, China's way. Germany, 94.9 billion, China's way. So, there you go, everyone. Imports in Brazil, 32 billion. What about South Africa? 15 billion, China's way. Come on, what about the Central African Republic? Okay, 18.3 million China's way, only 385,000 imports from Australia. So that just, one could argue this may have an impact on or demonstrate just the differences. So China's top destination for their exports is the United States, and Australia's top destination for our exports is China. So the comparative advantage between Australia and China. Now these are all, you can see here, these are all different industries where who has a comparative advantage. So computers, we're 79 point. So here we go. Exports from China to Australia over here. Exports from Australia to China. So we've got a comparative advantage up here in raw zinc, forage crops, fermented milk products, wood wool, corn, fantastic, other firearms, sulfur, where they've got computers, seats, other furniture, semiconductor devices. I mean, this is a very good website to go through, and I mean, you can have a look here. Look, these are all the tariffs, guys. There you go. Import tariffs for products from China entering into Australia. So what do we have? We've got tobacco, cereal pellets, maize, wheat, cereals, maize, rice, and they're 278 products. I'll up that to 100 rows. And here from China, I mean, there you go. Look at these tariffs, 57%, 37%. They've got 2%, 2%, 2%. Men's, boys, clothing, all of these things here. I mean, how many things have got 0% tariffs? Are these all? There you go. I mean, look at this. All the tariffs. Import tariffs from China entering Australia. We're paying this. Think about when you put a tariff on a product that's coming in to protect a local industry, it's like a subsidy for a local industry. You've got to realize that. Consumers pay for that. It's passed on to the consumer. It's not the Chinese paying for it. It's Australians paying for it. And, I mean, you could make an argument that that's necessary in order to protect local industries. And you just have to, you know, keep that in mind. When people are calling for tariffs on iron ore, that's not really going to work unless you want to put an export surcharge or tax on it. That's going to reduce our competitiveness in that industry, particularly with relation to China. And what we'll do is we will go back here. I'll bring up the OECD. Sorry, the OEC. And let's have a look at products. We'll go iron ore, just to get an appreciation of where we sit in this industry. Because Australia is number one. We're the leading exporter of iron ore. Brazil is number two. China is the biggest demand. So if we click here on Australia, we can see 80% of our iron ore goes to China. Then Japan, then South Korea. Brazil, 53% goes to China. Iron ore has gone up in price due to, well, flooding in Brazil, shutting down some of their mines. So it's actually hit at a higher level than anticipated. Our budget is set to about $50. That's what the politicians are planning for, or hoping for, $50 US a ton. So if we scroll down here, we can see where's iron ore. Come on, come on. You're so well organized, Florian, with your YouTube channel. Such a polished operation here at HeiseSays. Well, what do you mean? Have I lost it? Industrial, yeah, here it is. There we go. $130.50 a ton. So it's doing quite high at the moment. So one more thing I'd like to show you, and this is the marine traffic just coming from China live, or as live as I get on this website, and you can just see the ships flowing to and from one to the other, guys. So with that all in mind, let's have a look at this article written by Jason Murphy for his take on this. Because while I don't think an Australian consumer boycott of Chinese products will make a material difference to China, it will raise Australian awareness of how much our goods are imported and how little is manufactured in this country. So, have you ever been at the pub and seen a little guy get into a fight and get punched hard? It's not pretty. If a little guy gets into a chirping match with a big angry bloke, he better have a good backup plan or some good mates nearby. This is Australia's situation with China. Australians love Australia, and so we should. But when it comes to international politics, it is important to remember we're not one of the big fish in the pond. We do not get to throw our weight around. Pauline Hanson has told Australians we should just boycott China, stop buying their stuff. Ms. Hanson, as we all know, is not the sharpest mind in this country has to offer. She's like the voice of the little guy in the little guy's head, telling him to just punch that steroid-fueled aggro bloke. We've all got the image in our head. We've all seen it at a pub, guy. The angry man. There's one, I remember at high school, there's one little kid, a little Russian kid, Popov, and he would always literally try and get into fights with everyone, with all the senior kids to prove how tough he was. He's like a tiny little guy. He's a little scrapper. Poor guy. A simple strategy, just smash him. It makes us feel powerful to tell ourselves we can be aggressive and win. But it's a good way to get flattened. Instead, we need to be smart. Boycotting China would be like a flea landing on an elephant. Australia cannot move the needle on China's well-being, but it could definitely squash ours. He's right there, as I've shown you. I mean, think about it. If they started imposing more tariffs on all of these goods here that we are exporting to China, that's going to have a significant impact on our economy. If we start boycotting these goods from China, that's going to have a significant impact on our economy and our quality of life. Remember when computers cost a fortune, everyone? So, America is one of the big fish. It can provoke a trade war with China because it buys around 19% of Chinese exports. It has muscle. It also has the world's most powerful military and controls the most capable nuclear arsenal in history. Australia is not America. We only buy 1.9% of their exports. We have a modest military, and the number of nuclear weapons we control is a nice round zero. Yeah, Australia agreed to not develop our own nukes back in the day because of deals with America. Maybe we should have. But then again, they probably don't want to have a nuclear arms race with Indonesia and other countries down here. At least then, if we had, we'd definitely have a nuclear energy sector and the expertise. But that's for another video. We can't do to China what US President Donald Trump has done, not without backlash. If we stop buying Chinese goods, it would cost China around 0.9% of their GDP, no big deal. But if they stop buying ours, it would cost us around 16% of our GDP, a big deal. A big trade war would blow up in Australia's face. Western Australia would be hit hardest because iron ore exports to China are a huge part of that state's economy. Queensland would miss coal exports, New South Wales would miss tourism, and Victoria would lose out big on education. It would damage the whole country and put Australians out of work at a time when we need all the economic oomph we can muster. Because one thing we have to realise, it wasn't Rudd and his interventionist, money printing, handing out money left, right and centre, like the building education revolution, while our education outcomes have measurably not improved for all his money he threw at it, or the money handed out to everyone that, what did people spend it on? It was China's demand for our resources that kept us going through the GFC, guys. So, giving up on Chinese imports would hardly be a picnic either. Where does Pauline Hanson think things are made these days? From socks to semiconductors, the shops would look empty without Chinese-made goods. When you're the little guy in a fight, you need to be smart, not just angry. Strategic, not just aggressive. And as the charts below show, we're the little guy. China outstrips us in population, GDP, and military spending, not by a little, but by a lot. Yeah, we're not in the same league. We're not in the same league, guys. Australia is a tiny little country. This information shouldn't make us worried. It's not meant to make us despair. What it should do is make us choose our strategy properly, because while Australia alone may lack the muscle, it does not lack means. We're a country that is democratic, free and law-abiding. Australia is part of a large and extremely powerful bloc of countries who respect freedom and the rule of law, although that seems to be diminishing, certainly. It includes the European Union, plus countries like the UK, Japan, New Zealand, Canada, and not least the United States of America. A lot of movies have come out recently where the superheroes gang up together, the Avengers and similar. This is a lesson for us there. Acting alone is over. We need to use global organizations. Apply pressure through the WTO, the G20, and the UN. Getting into a one-on-one fight with China is not a battle Australia can win. So there we have Jason's take on it. He makes some very clear points. As I said, I don't think a consumer-led boycott from Australia is going to have a material impact on China. Not in the slightest. I can see why Hanson is calling for it, and I can see why people are outraged and why they're angry. But, you have to be smart and look at the reality of the situation, everyone. If at the very least it wakes people up and gets them to realize how much is actually manufactured overseas, and they make a concerted effort to try and buy local, that'd be good. Or even to buy from other non-Chinese manufacturing countries. It's a challenge, everyone. When's the last time you've gone to Bunnings? How much is made here? And then there's the price difference. The problem is, can people afford it? You don't want someone to be going without necessities or going into greater debt for ideological purposes when it will not make a difference. That's the harsh reality that we're facing. At the very least, this will hopefully wake people up and then maybe get them more politically motivated. And once again, we can slowly shift the Overton window. More sensible people need to become active, involved. There needs to be a slow march of reasonable people now through the institutions. What do you reckon? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments, guys. Are you planning to boycott China? Is it possible? One thing you could do here's a present you could give. Here's Florian's present recommendation. Get silver coins or gold coins locally manufactured here in Australia and give those as gifts to people. Hey, the gold may even come from PNG. We've got a trading advantage there with China. You're helping them. What do you think? As always, guys, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links from Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays, where we handmade pocket squares you can find right behind me there in this very sweatshop. Or you can use Teespring. Take care, guys. Oh, finally, don't forget Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, Australian manufactured gold, or stored gold, or PayPal. Take care, everyone. Have a great day, and I will see you all in the next episode. Bye for now.